Hello, in today's video, we are diving into the top 25 Excel functions every beginner should know to take their Excel skills to the next level. Why not stick around to the end of this video so as to get my bonus tips that even some experts don't know. Before we dive in, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe so you don't miss out any of our game-changing Excel tutorials. Now let's dive into the video. All right, starting with the top 25 Excel functions every beginner must know, we will be starting with the sum function. In the sum function, we use it to calculate the total number, the total revenue, the total score of our data set. So as to get the total revenue, we are going to say equals to sum, double click here, we have our function, head over to our revenue, hold Control, hold Shift, press the down arrow, and then Control backspace to return where we are, and we hit enter, and here we are. This becomes our revenue, 1,594,452,840. Now they said, our manager said, we also want to know our average revenue for this January sales. We are going to say equals, we press AV average, and that is our second function for this video. Now we double click here and we have that average, head over to revenue, and then hold Control, hold Shift, and press your down, Control backspace to return to where we are, and then we have this. This becomes our average revenue. And let's take, for example, we want to count to know the number of sales we have as regards to our selling price per unit item. Here we are going to make use of the count function. We have to say equals to XU. We have the count here, double click on it, click on the selling price. Here it will return total number of sales we have, and then press Control, hold Shift, and hit the down arrow, Control backspace to return where we are. Hit enter. It shows us we have a total number of 5,556, number of sales, and number of times we have our sales. Now in the count A, let's take, for example, we want to count what is the total number of products that we sold in the month of January. To do that, we will move over to the next function, which is the count A. Count A is used to count the cells that is not blank, the cell that is not empty, while the count function is used to count the cells that has numerical value in it. That is the difference between the count A and the count function. While count A counts for cells that are not blanks, the count for cells that has numerical value in them. Now to calculate this, we are going to say equals. Here we are, we select our count A, and over to our products. This is what we can use for count A. Then hold Control, hold Shift, and down arrow, Control backspace to return where we are, and we hit enter. The same 5,556. Now let's take, for example, in this particular selling price, we put, let's say, Excel inside it, and then hit enter. You'll notice that this is reduced because 5,555. Why? Because this is not a numerical value, this is a character. That is what count is. Whereas in the product, if I delete this and move here, you see that is reduced. So the count A counts for that which has value in them, while the count is responsible to count for numerical values. Now over to the next function, which is the max function, where we use to return the maximum value in our data set. Unless, for example, our manager said we want to know the maximum revenue we generated per sale in January. So to get that, we say equals to max, and we double click here to select the max, head over to our revenue, hold Control, hold Shift, and press the down arrow, Control backspace to return where we are, and we hit enter. And here we have that to be 999,910. And also our manager said, also we want to know the minimum sale we have, the minimum revenue we have per sale in January. So we said equals to min. Yeah, we double click and then head over to our revenue, hold Control, hold Shift to highlight the entire range, and Control backspace to return where we are, and then we hit enter. Here becomes our minimum revenue for per sale in January, and that is our minimum. Now moving over to the next function, which is the SUMIF function. Let's, for example, still in this data set, our manager wants to know which region, or in the eastern region, what is the total revenue generated in the eastern region. And how do we going to calculate it, knowing fully well that this data set is a data set of over 5,000 range of data set? How are we going to do that one after the other? And that is where we make use of the SUMIF function. We have it equals to sum. We have this function SUMIF, double click here. What range are we summing? That is the region. That we hold control, hold your shift down arrow to select the entire range, control backspace to return where we are, and we put comma. What is our criteria in this range? What do we want Excel to calculate for us? We want it to calculate east. For us, we are looking for the total revenue of the east from the east region, and then we put that, we hit comma. Once we see east here, what do we want it to sum? We want it to sum revenue generated from the east. So we go to revenue, hold control, hold shift, and press our down arrow, control backspace to return where we are, and that is our SUMIF formula, and we hit enter. That's to say, in the eastern region, this is the amount generated. And let's say, for example, the manager comes back and said, no, it is not east, it is south. We go back to our formula, remove the east, and then we put south, and then we hit enter. We see that of the south region. Now, our manager also said we want to know the average revenue generated from the south. So we also move to the next function, which is the average if function. And to calculate the average revenue generated from the south, we press average, select the average if. What is our range? The same as the SUMIF, which is the region. Hold control, hold shift, press your down arrow, control backspace. We go back to where we are, press your comma. What criteria? That criteria is the south. We click on south and close our quotation, press our comma. What is the average range? That is on our revenue. Hold control, hold shift, and press your down arrow to select the entire range, control backspace to return where we are. And that is our formula to calculate the average revenue generated from the south. And that is what we have. And now our manager wants to know the total number of times we make sales in the south region. What is the total number of times we make sales in the south region? Now, what to do is to use the COUNTIF formula, the COUNTIF function, in order to calculate that. So we hit equals to, and then we double click here to select our COUNTIF. It asks us what range. The range is the region, and then hold control, hold shift, and press your down arrow, control backspace to return where we are, and then we press comma. What criteria? What are we looking for? We are looking for the south. And then we close our quotation and hit enter. And here we are. We make sales of 1,185 times in the south region in January. And here the manager looks out and said, now we have this maximum value here. We want to know the state that generated this maximum value per sale. Our manager is asking, we want to know where we got this maximum revenue per sale. How are we going to calculate that? And that is what will take us to the next function in this video, and that is XLOOKUP function. XLOOKUP function helps us to look for values and then return the value that we want that matches the value we are looking for. We are saying to Excel, look up this value for us. When you see it, return the value that matches that in this range. And to get what our manager asks us to do, we say equals to XLOOKUP, double click. And before we continue, I will want to say, if you are using an Office version of 2019, 2016 downward, you might not have XLOOKUP in your Excel. I will encourage you upgrade to 2021, 2024, or even Office 365. There you will have other features that will make you to work effectively and efficiently in Microsoft Excel. All right, back to our XLOOKUP function. Now, once we select our XLOOKUP, it's asking us what is the lookup value, what our lookup value. Our lookup value is this value here, which is the maximum value, and let's lock it by pressing F4, and then we hit comma. Now the next is our lookup array. This value, where can I see it in the data set? We head over to the revenue, and that is where Excel can see this, our maximum value in our revenue. Then we hit control, hold shift, press the down arrow, control backspace to return where we are, and we press comma. Now Excel is saying, if I look up this value in this array and find it, what next do you want me to do? Excel is asking, what do you want me to return? The return array, we want you to look for this value and then return the state that matches that value so that we can know the state that generated that maximum revenue per sale. Here we are, we hit Control Hold Shift and then our down arrow Control Backspace to return where we are, and that is our lookup formula, and we hit Enter. Here we are in this data set. We have been able to discover that is Kaduna that has that generated this highest revenue per se. Now let's take for example that we come to this place and we added a figure, a value here, kind of to make it to be the highest. Now you notice that our value automatically have changed from this to earlier, making our formula to be dynamic. And so if we receive any data and add it to this table and update it, it will also automatically update. That is one of the stuff that makes our formulas to be dynamic. All right, now having done that, let's head back to where we are, and that is the now the next thing we have here is, let's take for example over to the next function, over to the next function in this video is the unique function. What do we use unique function to do? Let's say for example our manager wants to know the states that are represented in this data set. What are the states that are represented in this data set? Now, I'm knowing fully well that this is a data set of over 5,000 range of data. It will be difficult for us to be looking at, to be searching it one by one. So we have to make use of the unique function. Unique function returns the unique values in this particular range of data in distinct value. Our manager wants to know what the states that are represented in this data set, and to do that we are going to make use of the unique function, and we say equals to, and then you have this function unique, and once that is done we come to this our state, hold Control Hold Shift, press the down arrow, Control Backspace to return where we are, and then we hit Enter. And here we are, automatically Excel returns that these are the states that are represented in this data set, and that is what we have for the unique function. Now the next we move into this video is the run between function, which is what we use to generate random values between a lower bound and an upper bound. We want Excel to give us a random value that we can use for our practice. We want to generate a data set, a random data set you can use to practice. This function is there for you. And how do we use that? We say equals to run between, double click on it, it will ask us for the bottom, the lower bound. Let's say I want to generate a random value from 100 lower and then 10,000 the upper bound, and I entered my bottom and my top and hit Enter. It generates this value for me, and if I drag down to this place, I'm having a random value. But this function is a case that if I perform any function here, for example, I say equals to and I hit here. Now when I hit Enter, you watch what will happen here. Automatically these functions will update and generate a new random values. If I hit Enter, you see what happens here. Automatically it generates other random values within the bottom range and the top range that I selected. Now the tip number one, the bonus tip number one for this video is, for example, you have done that and you want to ensure that these values doesn't update on its own. Why is it updating? It's simple, because Excel is still seeing it as a function, as a formula in this particular range. So what we do is you highlight all. Once we highlight, we press Ctrl C to copy, and once we do that, we head over to our paste, and here we paste it as values. Awesome. Now once that is done, we notice that Excel now sees this as value, not as a function or as a formula, and that is our bonus tip number one for this video. Now moving over to the next function. All right, over to the next function. Here we have the trim function, and in the trim function we use this function in order to remove unwanted spaces within our data set. And let's say for example we receive this data and our manager is asking us to remove these spaces or these spaces here that is not really what we want. So how do we do that? We make use of the trim function. To do that, we say equals to trim function, we double click, let's say we select Australia and we hit Enter. We have Australia, and if we drag it down and see, we notice that this spaces here, these spaces there already are normal to this United States, and that is what the trim function helps us to achieve. Over to our next function is the proper function, where we use the proper function to convert the letters or to convert our text into the proper case, where the first letter is a capital letter and the other letters are small letters. And to do that, we can say equals to, we say proper, double click on this. Now let's say we want to, our manager said this, we need to put it in a proper case. We select yang and then we hit enter, and here we have this to be in proper case. If we drag it down, we see that other ones that are in capital letter are in proper case. All right, beautiful. Now the next function is the uppercase function, where we make use, or where we use it in order to change our letters, our write-ups from small letter or proper case to the uppercase. And to get that is equals to upper, double click this. If I select this yang and hit enter, it will automatically become uppercase. And let's drag it down for the others. That is what we have. Now let's take, for example, we don't want it in uppercase, we want it in lowercase, and that will take us to the next function, which is the lower function. To do that, we say equals to, we type in lower, double click here, and then we select this, hit enter, it becomes in small letters, and when we drag it down, we have all of them in small letter, and that is what we have. Now the next in this video is the concat function. Concat function is what we use to join words, to join cells, to join words together if they are in different cells. Now let's, for example, our manager says, let this, the title, the first name, the last name, we want all of them to be in one cell. We want to make it, to combine them together to be in one cell. How do we do that? We make use of the concat function. We say equals to the concat, double click here, we click on this, say press comma, click on this, press comma, and then on this we press comma and we say enter, and we have Dr. Engineer John Yan. But when we look at this, we will see that they are all both joined together, no spacing, no proper spacing. Our manager doesn't like it. He wants them to be properly spaced, and also that he wants this yang here to be in proper case. In other words, our manager is asking us to do two things at a time, to give it a proper spacing and at the same time to convert this to proper case. How do we do that? That is where I will be giving us our bonus tip number 2 for this video. And to do that, we are going to be making use of the nested function. That is to go back to our formulas. In the title, after the we move after the comma here, and then we open our quotation, space, and close our quotation here. You will see what we have here, and then we put our comma. Here we have put double quotation, space, double quotation. In Excel, whenever you are entering anything that is not a numerical value, you put it in double quotation. That includes the space character. All right, now the next we do here is we come over to between the first name and the last name and do the same thing and put our double quotation, space, double quotation, then we press our comma. Now here we have been able to rectify the issue of this proper spacing, but we have not rectified the issue of the yang. If I hit enter now, we see that we have proper spacing, but the thing that the manager asks us to get is to make this to be in proper casing. And to get that, we are going to go over to our formula bar here, and then we type proper. We type in our proper formula, proper function, double click here. We have this. What we are saying, what we are telling Excel is once you have converted it into a proper spacing, ensure you make it to be in proper casing. That's what we have here. And then let's come over here to close our formula. If we open two brackets here, and we are going to have to close it twice, and then we hit enter, and here we have our concat function properly spaced and in proper casing. That is our bonus tip number 2 for this video. Now if we drag it down, we will notice that every other ones here will be both properly, will be in proper casing, and then in a space that is in that. That is what we have. In the next, moving over to the next function. Now over to the next function, we have this that I said before us. We are going to be looking at the AND function, the OR function. even the if function, and that we have now going over to the and function. What is the and function? The and function is a logical statement that returns either true or false. And how does it work? The and function only returns true when both arguments are true. If one argument is false, it will return false. It only returns true when both arguments are true. Now let's look at this. We can say equals to and function. We double click here. What is our first logical argument? We can say that this G10 is equals to put in double quotation Adewale Balogun, close, you say comma. What is our second argument? We can say that our second argument is that H10 equals, we put under quotation, sales executive, and here we are. If we hit enter, that returns true. Why is it returns true? Is because when we look at our H10 is sales executive, we look at our G10 is sales executive. However, if I come here and remove X, by just removing X, that will give me false. Why? Because what is here is sales executives, while what is here is sales executive. Now that makes it that one argument is false. That is the and function. Now over to the next function, which is the or function. The or function is also a logical statement that returns either true or false. However, in the or statement, one of the statements must be true for it to return true, while in the and statement, both statements must be true for it to return true. So in or statement, we just need one of the statements to be true for it to return true. Now let's repeat the same thing we have here in this place. Let me go over to this place and copy this and copy the formula, Ctrl C, and then I'll come over to this place, say equals to, and Ctrl V to paste it. Let me remove the and function and replace it with the or function, and we see that this will return true, because when we see this one is true, why this one is false? Because this is true, or function will return true, and that is the or function. However, you might be asking me, why do I need to use or function, true or false? I don't really need it in my analysis. Now that is what will lead us to the next. For the next two functions that we will be looking at, where we can see some use cases of the and function or the or function. Now moving over to the next function, we will be looking at the if statement. The if statement is also a logical function where we can use it to state what we, if we have this, what are we going to have? If this is not true, what are we going to have? And to do that, let's take for example, here are our sales executives, and there are their monthly incomes, and there are their monthly profit. Now let's take for example, the management says you as an analyst check those that deserve bonus and those that doesn't deserve bonus, and the criteria is that they have to make a minimum of 500 million as their monthly income. Anyone that makes a minimum of 500 million will deserve bonus. Those that doesn't meet up with that, no bonus. And to calculate that, we have to make use of the if statement, because here there is condition. And to do that, we go over to say equals to if, double click here, if this is greater than or equals to 500 million, comma, open. If this statement is true, what do we need? We can say deserved bonus, close your quotation, comma. If not, open your quotation, say no bonus. And that is our if statement, our if function. And when we look at it, we see that this person deserves bonus because he has an income more than over 500 million. Now, if we drag these other ones down, we will notice that we see those that no bonus and some that deserve bonus. And that is our if function. For example, our manager comes and said, no, the criteria has been changed, the condition has been changed. They have to make a minimum of 500 million and also a minimum of monthly profit of 5 million. Those that meet the two criteria are those that are going to be given bonus. Those that doesn't meet it, there won't be any bonus. How are we going to calculate this? And to do that, that's what will lead us to the next function in this video, which we call the nested function. In the nested function, we are combining two functions together in order to get our target value. To do this, remember there are two criteria and these two conditions must be met for that person to deserve bonus. To calculate that, we are going to make use of the nested function here. We are going to say equals to, if double click here, instead of running our logical test will become the AND statement. We are going to use our AND statement as our logical test. So to do that, I'm going to type AND here and then double click to print this function. What is my first logic statement? The first logic is if this is greater than or equals to 500 million, comma, and this is greater than or equals to 5 million, then we close our brackets and then we put comma. Here we have done our logical test. If this statement is true, what are we going to return? We are going to return deserved bonus. We put comma. If not, no bonus. We close it, and here we hit enter. Okay, we need to close our bracket. You see, we opened two brackets, 1, 2. We have only closed one. We need to close the rest. And Excel is asking us to do the correction for us. If we will accept, of course, we will accept it. We say yes. And here you see this no bonus. Why is it? Why is because this person met the first criteria, but couldn't meet up with the second criteria, hence no bonus. Now when we come here and double click, we begin to see that some that deserve bonus before doesn't get it, the bonus, and some that then we get to see that this person deserve bonus before, but now because the profit wasn't up to 500 million, and that is how we can make use of our OR function or the AND function. You can still come here and change this if you make it to the OR function here. If they meet one of the criteria, let's replace it with this and we hit enter. You see that that is deserved bonus. Why? Is because this person met one of the criteria. And let's look at this one that wasn't no bonus before, but now the profit is over 5 million, and let's drag it down. We see that this person, because the profit is over 5 million, we see that it deserves bonus. This person doesn't know bonus because he didn't meet either of the criteria. And that is our nested function. Now, moving over to the next function in this video. In our next function, we are going to be looking at the nested if function. The nested if function is a function we use to calculate multiple conditions or multiple criteria in our data set. And here before me is a data set of student results. And let's say you are the teacher and you want to calculate their grades, to grade them if they have A, if they have B, if they have C, and the likes. How are you going to calculate it and then ensure that there is no mistake or no error in your calculation? That is where we make use of the nested if function. What is the nested if function? Is simply if inside another if, inside another if, inside another if. And to do that, we are going to say equals if. Here is our criteria. That is 70 above will be A, 60 above will be B, 50 is C, 45 is D, 40 is E. Now, what is our logical test? Our logical test is that we are saying if the test score, if this plus this is greater than or equals to 70, comma, what do we want? We want A. Now, if it didn't meet it up, what do we want? We bring in another if. That is what we meant by if, nested if inside another if, then this also, if this plus this is greater than or equals to 60, comma, then we have B, comma. If not, we bring in another if here and say we double click if this plus this, if this plus this is greater than or equals to 50, comma, we want C. If again, let's double click here, if this plus this is greater than or equals to 45, comma, what do we want? we return D, comma, and then we bring in if again for our last argument, our last test, if this plus this is greater than or equals to 40, comma, return E. If not, give me F. That if any of the above criteria is not met, then give us F. That is what we refer to as the nested if. This is what we refer to our nested if that have multiple criteria, and that is the nested if function. However, to ramp up, we are going to close it based on the number of brackets we open. We open 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We are going to close 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. And that is the nested if function. We hit enter. And then when we drag it down, if we double click here, it will fill for the rest. Now, next is our third bonus tip for this video, for this tutorial. You ask me, will I have to replicate this formula again? Will I have to come over to this and do this sum if and do this if inside if again? And that might take you time, and that might be too tiresome. That will not really be very, very effective for you. Now, here is the bonus tip number 3 for you to use in order to work fast and work efficient. Now, what we just did is to come to this autofill function and you drag it across to this place. It will fill up the rest, and that means if I'm come here, that is for mathematics. If we are in chemistry, you see that is for chemistry. And then, having done that, the next we do is highlight this, and then let's drag it down. Other ones we calculate, and that is for the nested if function. Now, moving over to the next function is the rank function. The rank function, in the rank function, we use it to calculate the ranks of value in this particular range on this particular reference. Here we are going to use it to grade our students, to know the person that came first, second, third, fourth, and the likes. Now, how to do that? We are going to make use of the rank function. We say equals rank. Going to select this rank dot eq. Double click on it. We are going to run this using the total score. We click on this comma, and what is our reference value? Our reference values are this range of results. That is our reference. And then remember to lock it by pressing your F4 to lock that range, and you hit enter. And here this particular student is ranked 18 in the class, and to get the remaining other ones, just click here and come over to this autofill function and double click. Automatically it calculates the rank of other ones. You can see that this is the first person, you can see that this is the second person, and here we are having a tie. This is the 3, this is also 3. That's to say that there are 2 persons here that got the same score and they are in the same third position, and that is the rank function. Now, moving over to the next function for this video. All right, to wrap up this video tutorials, we are going to be wrapping up with these last 2 functions, the now function and the today function. The now function is what we use to return the current date and the current time, and to do that we say equals, we type dates, and we come here and double click this, and that just close the bracket, and we hit enter. Currently, that is the current date as of this video. We see that this is the 24th of January 2025 as of time of making this video, and that is the time 21:12 GMT. That is the now function. And now we move over to the today function. Today function is used to calculate the current date that we are in, the today dates. We also say equals today, and then we close the bracket and hit enter. We have that that's 24th of January 2025. And one of the benefit of this is that it makes it dynamic, that tomorrow this will become 25, next day it will become 26, and that is the today's function. And ladies and gentlemen, you have just unlocked the secrets to the most powerful Excel functions. Now it's time to practice and apply these skills to your daily task. Remember, consistency is key to mastering Excel. ensure to like this video to show support to this channel. If you have any question or idea for future tutorials, feel free to drop it in the comments. We do love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, to turn on the notification bell for our weekly executives, tricks, and advanced tutorials. See you in our next video. Keep excelling with Excel.